Now a retelling of the anime Witchcraft Works. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Have fun watching. Anoka Takamiya's daily life is just as mundane as ever, enduring the monotony of school and the relentless taunts from bullies who envy his proximity to the school's reigning idol, Ayaka Kagari. However, everything changes when he unexpectedly faces an onslaught of tin soldier rabbits. To his surprise, a witch wielding formidable fire magic comes to his rescue. Much to his astonishment, the witch is none other than Ayaka herself, and she affectionately refers to Anoka as her cherished one. As Anoka cautiously pushes open the classroom door, a shocking sight greets him. Ayaka, in a fierce confrontation, is subjecting 4 of the malevolent witches who've recently transferred to their school to a rather unusual ordeal. The leader of this group, Tanpopo Kuraishi, cryptically declares their intent to acquire his peculiar essence. Suddenly, one of the newly arrived witch students seizes Anoka, attempting to abduct him, but their escape is short-lived. In an explosive display of her fiery magic, Ayaka annihilates the entire group in an instant. After this harrowing incident, Anoka and Ayaka embark on a leisurely date through the town. During their outing, Anoka provides him with an insightful explanation of the ongoing conflict between the Tower Witches and the Workshop Witches. Their journey culminates as Ayaka introduces Anoka to 2 influential figures: her mother, the chairwoman of the school, and Kazan Kagari, the prominent leader of the Workshop Witches within the city. Following a brief encounter with Tanpopo's notorious KMM gang, Ayaka commences Anoka's training, aiming to unlock his dormant witch abilities. She guides him through the process of concealing himself in plain sight and mastering the art of broomstick flight. As they soar through the town, Anoka employs his newfound powers to intervene, coming to the aid of a young girl who is being tormented by bullies. However, the tables soon turn, and Anoka himself requires Ayaka's rescue once more. Later, as the 2 of them ride the school bus, their journey takes an unexpected and perilous turn. They find themselves ensnared by the formidable tower witch known as Chronoir Schwartz 6. In a calculated move, she incapacitates Ayaka by inflicting harm upon Anoka, exploiting his unique latent ability to transfer his injuries to her. As parting words, Chronoir bestows upon Anoka a mysterious candy, prophesying that he will consume it in the future. Ayaka regains consciousness just in time to force Chronoir into a hasty retreat, but Anoka clings to the enigmatic candy, its significance lingering in the air. In a secluded corner, the formidable tower witch, Medusa, is depicted slowly chipping away at her supposedly impregnable prison, cracking it open bit by bit. Meanwhile, Anoka's sister, Kasumi Takamiya, begins to grapple with pangs of jealousy as her brother increasingly spends his time away from home with Ayaka. As the nefarious KMM gang concocts yet another scheme to separate Anoka from Ayaka, Kasumi steps into the fray, determined to protect her brother's interests. Armed with a colossal teddy bear, she squares off against a giant tin soldier rabbit summoned by Tanpopo. However, the confrontation escalates to such an extent that the bear's attacks inadvertently wreak havoc on a considerable portion of the town, miraculously sparing the lives of its inhabitants. Following this tumultuous clash, Ayaka returns swiftly after successfully vanquishing the Tower Witches. She solemnly vows to keep an unwavering watch over Anoka, pledging her unwavering presence and protection, day and night. Upon their return home, Ayaka and Anoka approach Anoka's mother, Kamachi Takamiya, with an unusual request for Anoka to permanently reside at Ayaka's lavish mansion. Despite her daughter's vociferous protests, Kamachi agrees, revealing a long-forgotten agreement she had made with Kazan in the past. Unable to marry each other, they had pledged that their future offspring would be wed to one another instead. As they step into Ayaka's opulent residence, the pair is confronted by the escaped Medusa. In an attempt to fend her off, Ayaka engages in a fierce battle, but Medusa's dark magic transforms her into a lifeless statue. Left with no alternative, Anoka swallows the mysterious candy gifted to him by Chronoir earlier, summoning the White Princess, Evermillion. Evermillion harnesses her formidable powers to vanquish Medusa, inadvertently causing significant damage to both the mansion and a substantial portion of the school, infuriating Kazan, who calls for a tower witch hunt in retaliation. Evermillion then discloses the key to Ayaka's revival, a loving kiss from Anoka. With heartfelt affection, he awakens Ayaka. Empowered by her feelings, Ayaka unleashes her formidable powers, resulting in the defeat of both Medusa and the relentless KMM gang, who had resurfaced once more. Subsequently, before Chronoir can set her malevolent plan in motion, Kazan captures and subjects her to grueling interrogation in pursuit of vital information. As Ayaka and Anoka arrive at school, their science teacher intervenes, forcibly separating Anoka from Ayaka under the pretext of Clark's third law. He cryptically hints at the consequences of breaking one of the 5 seals with the mysterious candy and issues a stern warning to Anoka, cautioning him against sharing this sensitive information, as it could lead to drastic actions taken by Kazan. In a surprising turn of events, Ayaka leverages her quasi-official princess status within the school to unilaterally depose the student council president, replacing them with Anoka. This exercise of her authority sets the stage for further changes. After the school day concludes, Kasumi takes drastic measures, firing a potent tranquilizer dart at Ayaka and subsequently abducting Anoka, with the intention of escaping the city where Kazan's influence supposedly wanes. However, Ayaka swiftly recovers from the tranquilizer's effects and employs her formidable powers, summoning a dragon to intercept Kasumi and her enormous teddy bear plane before they can make their getaway. Unbeknownst to many, Ayaka has been covertly harboring Medusa and the KMM gang in her room at Anoka's residence since their last skirmish. Tanpopo endeavors to seize Anoka in a discreet manner but struggles to find the opportune moment. However, this mission takes an unexpected turn when Mei and Kotetsu unintentionally cross paths with him while exiting the bath, leading to his immediate capture and triggering a tense standoff as Kazan returns from a shopping excursion. In a bold move to safeguard Anoka, Ayaka forges an alliance with the Tower Witches and merges her powers with Medusa's in a bid to enhance her abilities. Nonetheless, the outcome is not in their favor, as Kazan prevails, rendering Anoka unconscious and subsequently confining both him and Ayaka to a prison cell. Later on, Ayaka taps into some of Anoka's latent power to engineer their escape, inadvertently causing further damage to a portion of the school, much to Kazan's distress. A confrontation appears imminent as Ayaka prepares to battle her own mother, but Kazan takes an unexpected stance, insisting they return home together. In the midst of his dreams, Anoka embarks on a journey through Ayaka's past, uncovering her awkward and socially isolated childhood. To help her adapt and protect her, Ayaka's mother enlisted the aid of two young workshop witches, who were tasked with watching over her. These formative years saw Ayaka fruitlessly searching for a particular boy at neighboring schools, until she eventually crossed paths with Anoka, who would come to play a significant role in her life. In the present, Anoka grapples with an unexpected challenge to his authority as the student council president. The previous president falsely accused him of physically abusing her, enlisting the notorious delinquent Rainon Otomatakabana to exact revenge. Rainon deploys her hamster-themed gang to vandalize the school, ultimately challenging Anoka to a one-on-one duel. Ayaka initially joins the fight to support Anoka, but she resorts to cheating to create the illusion of his victory on the day of the duel. As events unfold, it becomes apparent that Ayaka had orchestrated the entire situation, manipulating the former student council president from the start to reaffirm Anoka's standing at the school. Ayaka resolves to impart the secrets of offensive magic to Anoka, concocting a rather unconventional method. She urges him to leap from the rooftop of a towering building, intending for him to summon a familiar during his descent. In a state of panic, Anoka indeed summons a being, but to his shock and embarrassment, it materializes as a colossal image of Ayaka donning a provocative nurse outfit. The massive figure intercepts their fall, inadvertently delivering a powerful punch that sends a nearby building toppling. Meanwhile, a startling discovery awaits Kazan as she unearths a colossal magical bomb hidden beneath the city streets. She engages in negotiations with Weekend, a tower witch, in a desperate attempt to avert catastrophe. However, Weekend's response is far from diplomatic as she triggers the bomb, leading to the destruction of several buildings and depleting Kazan's magical reserves as she strives to mitigate the harm. With their safety in mind, Ayaka and Anoka find themselves confined within a cell by other workshop witches. Nevertheless, a sophisticated magical puppet created by Weekend eventually tracks them down. Ayaka harnesses the puppet's power to breach a section of the cell wall and escape. Despite their newfound freedom, they realize that both of them are devoid of their magical abilities. The workshop witches are thrust into a state of emergency as Ayaka and Anoka emerge, confronted by a city in ruins. Devoid of Kazan's vital magical powers, the local workshop witches find themselves unable to wield any form of magic, with no hope of external assistance arriving in time. To exacerbate the dire situation, Weekend seizes a group of workshop witches and attaches magical bombs to them, issuing an ultimatum: they must surrender Anoka within 30 minutes, or she will trigger the detonation of her captives one by one. Rainon and Itori, in a frantic attempt to defuse the perilous standoff, mobilize their efforts. Simultaneously, Ayaka escorts Anoka down to the city's core with the objective of renewing a contract, drawing upon Anoka's latent powers. In a race against time, and at the very last moment, Anoka successfully completes the contract. This pivotal breakthrough enables the workshop witches to rescue the hostages and apprehend Weekend. However, Weekend, now captured, discloses a chilling revelation. She allowed herself to be taken in, all part of her grand plan to dismantle the workshop from within. She executes her nefarious scheme using concealed explosives. In response, Anoka, now endowed with newfound abilities, uses his powers to resurrect the wounded witches. As the strain takes its toll on him, Ayaka intervenes to protect him from the brink of exhaustion, rendering him unconscious. As Ayaka gently lays Anoka to rest in the remnants of their home, Anoka unexpectedly gains access to some of Kazan's recollections. An unsettling revelation arrives when the science teacher, Mikage, delivers the disconcerting news that they exist in an alternate reality created by the city due to the contract recently formed by Anoka. Mikage guides him to a shelter where the city's inhabitants remain in suspended animation, awaiting a safe reawakening. Suddenly, an underling of Weekend launches an attack on Anoka at the shelter. Meanwhile, Ayaka embarks on a mission to confront Weekend at a church. A grim turn of events unfolds as Weekend employs an array of bombs strategically placed around the church, depleting Ayaka's magical energy. She subsequently captures Ayaka using colossal, monstrous golems and discloses that she planted these destructive devices throughout the city months ago as part of her intricate plan. Back at Anoka's residence, Mikage successfully revives Anoka while Atori stands watch. Mikage conveys an urgent message. Weekend intends to annihilate the shelter unless Anoka is surrendered to her within a tight 30-minute window. Anoka and Atori race to the scene of a massive explosion, where they discover Ayaka severely weakened. Anoka channels some of his own power to Ayaka, fortifying her to confront Weekend before she can decimate the shelter. Nevertheless, Weekend unveils a grim revelation that she has already triggered her explosive device. As Tanpopo resolves to carry Kasumi from the wreckage, Weekend's destructive bomb obliterates the townspeople sheltered within, including Mikage. Anoka, in a desperate bid to rescue them, strikes a dire bargain with Evermillion, offering his own life to save the town and its inhabitants. However, Ayaka steps in at the 11th hour, willing to exchange her life for Anoka's. The entire city, along with its residents and buildings, is miraculously restored as if the cataclysm never transpired. Weekend, still present, plunges a knife into Anoka. With a begrudging acknowledgement of defeat, Weekend decides to have Anoka healed and encounters Chronoir shortly thereafter. In the rejuvenated church, Anoka, Atori, and Mikage collaborate to devise a method for reviving Ayaka. They utilize some of Anoka's blood and a kiss in a hopeful endeavor. Astonishingly, Ayaka awakens from her slumber. Meanwhile, Chronoir is depicted impaling Weekend and the majority of her underlings on sharp stakes. Kazan materializes and demands Chronoir's surrender of Weekend for questioning. Chronoir asserts that Weekend is her dinner and a showdown between the two unfolds. Later, an unconscious Anoka and Mikage find themselves in the presence of Evermillion, discussing the renewed contract that Anoka has forged with her. Evermillion forewarns Anoka about the consequences he will confront if he attempts a similar action in the future. Anoka awakens to Ayaka's welcoming presence at the bedroom door. The pair sets off for school, where the reformed KMM gang confronts them along the way. Even without her magical powers fully restored, Ayaka effortlessly subdues Tanpopo and Mei by gripping their faces until the gang submits. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel because it is very important for the development of the channel.